Aha! A visitor! I propose a toast to Falco, soon to be a mindless tool of the Commissioner. I must see to it that she warms to the occasion. Oh, that's good! The sun is just right for toasting marshmallows. It's a party. It's too bad you won't be able to come, suckers!
All right, so now I kind of want to discuss another thing that Anita brings up in her video. That kind of the very few interesting things she said, one of the things she said is that these games, I think, quote, trivialize and normalize this these violent actions, this sexual assault and things like that. What do you make of that? What do you think about that? I mean, there's a lot of interesting ways you could take this, I think. If you want to hear my initial thoughts, I'll be glad to give them to you. I guess, like, my initial, maybe this is just my initial stupid reaction to it, but tell me if it's stupid or not. My first thought is, well, isn't the reason why the person who made the game using these acts, it's because they're not trivial, right? I mean, the point is to get the big bucks, right? Oh, they're looking at, you know, the dollar bills. They went cha-ching, and so, okay, this is her idea of what's going on in their head. Like, cha-ching, we want the big bucks, so we're going to exploit anything we can. Okay, put a rape scene in, right? Okay, this is not, I don't think this is what's happening, but I think she does, right? It's just this kind of cynical abuse of the audience. But they're certainly not using these rape scenes because they're trivial, right? My response to her would be, again, look out for the language that you're using. You're using language in a poor way. I would say to her, don't say that. Say they're using them in a trivial way. Rape is being used in a trivial way. I mean, if it were trivial, no one would care, and it wouldn't bring in the big bucks. So that's my initial thought right there, is it's being used trivially. I mean, that's a big difference, I think.
I guess unless she was thinking about somehow that this is going to have the overall end effect of trivializing rape after much repetition and use for the big bucks. But, I mean, you're right, the initial action must have been something like, well, what kind of really crazy thing can we throw in there that would make people freak out? Oh, let's throw a rape scene in there. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, they must be aiming at something they thought was non-trivial.
I mean, so I guess immediately I kind of, this is just a stupid immediate reaction. What do you think, Jesse? I mean, I feel like there's a big difference between trivializing it and using it trivially.
Well, the only thing I can say is that, yeah, if you use something trivially, yeah, I cannot talk tonight, for too long, then, yeah, just as Justin said, you are going to end up, in effect, trivializing that trivial usage that becomes seen as the norm, which I think this is maybe one of the reasons why she's so concerned about this, because she does, you know, one of the core things of feminist theory is this concept of rape culture, which, you know, it's the trivialization of acts of violence against women, and she didn't come out and say it so much, but she might be seeing this as an extension of that.
Oh, without a doubt, I couldn't agree more. Like, she basically read from the script of what is rape culture. I mean, you can find definitions online, and she basically almost quotes it word for word, but she just doesn't use the word rape culture. That's what she's talking about. This is what she's really, I don't know why she didn't just say it. She's basically saying this is rape culture. Again, a terrible word. A word that's just going to instantly produce a just knee-jerk reaction against it. Of course there's no rape culture, right? I mean, like, that again, terrible use of language. But I think I want to save that a little bit for normalization a little bit. I don't know, like, Okay, I'll throw another kind of. How about a stupid? Let's talk about normalization next, but a stupid response to that would be, well, see if I don't know if I support this, but like, okay, so we use the word kill and murder all the time. I'm gonna kill you, man. I'm gonna kill you. Um, that hasn't seemed to make murder trivial. Um, it seems like people have been able to kind of, I don't know, distinguish the uses. And like the Jimquisition even said, when we see actual violence, game violence does not trivialize, or it doesn't seem to be able at this point anyway, to trivialize real violence. I mean, it has a completely different effect on people. Like that bullshit program too, when they had a kid who played FPSs his whole life shoot an actual gun. There's this kind of missing element in a game that when it becomes reality, it's something completely different. I don't know. Do you think people are? Do you think people are more capable of splitting these two concepts off than she's giving them credit for? Or, I mean, I totally get what she's saying. What she's worried about. But at the same time, how would you respond to someone that said, "Well, yeah, we use kill all the time"?
I guess can I just jump in here? I guess I got maybe what I would say is just I like that point about how in real life it just doesn't compare, like holding that gun and shooting it, or seeing that person die in front of you, seeing them be alive at one moment and not be alive at the next. I guess the thing is, there's just so many people who are able to affect your life without ever having to see you, without ever having to experience what you experience. When they're sitting on that jury, when they're the ones arresting you, when they're the ones questioning you, right? They didn't see it, they weren't there, so all they have are kind of societal notions, and I mean, these societal notions, they need to rely on to kind of give them the empathy to work with you. So that's kind of how I respond, like just in this sense. But I don't think in real life, if you saw it, the game representation would be the thing that trivialized it in front of you.
I mean, like, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to continue on. This is another stupid knee-jerk response. Then back to you. Then would be,
Okay,
well,
go for it, yeah.
I'm going to say, this is me as a character now.
Go for it.
But again, games can't trivialize killing for the same reason that video games can't trivialize sexual assault, because they're so stupidly done. It's because they are so silly and non-consequential and so over-the-top stupid. And the murder and violence that happens in games, especially to the background characters, actually has little effect on you. Maybe not because it's trivial, but because you just don't care, right? I mean, who cares if someone you don't know anything about suffers an attack? All you just get is this ooh-ah thing. Just like, some of the scenes in the new Star Wars. Sorry, new Star Wars fans. I mean, like, all that was boring. I mean, all these scenes of background violence, all they become is simply dull and boring to me, because there's no consequence or weight put behind them. I don't know if it trivializes it so much as it's impossible because it has no weight to it. It's light as air. It's nonsense. What would you say to that?
Yeah, but I guess maybe first I would say, I mean, if it were as light as air, I don't know why they're putting it in unless they're just screwing it up. I mean, it wouldn't be the thing getting them the big bucks if it didn't do that somehow, if it didn't have some kind of titillation factor in the first place.
Shock value, that's for sure.
Shock value or some kind of, I mean, if it was just flat out boring, it probably wouldn't have been in there in the first place.
Maybe I should use, sorry, Jesse, please.
Sorry. I mean, what if I were to say this, by reducing these acts of horrific violence, like I said, I don't know if I agree with this myself. This is, as I'm in character now, I mean, I should get a hat or something when I go into character, but when you reduce the value of violent acts, when you trivialize them to the point where, it's just shock value, it's just in there, just look at the shocking rape scene, look at the shocking murder scene, look at me mow down 15 people with my submachine gun on it. Well, yeah, it's not. going to there's going to be something missing. Saying maybe missing isn't the word I'm looking for, but it's not going to be the same as actually doing it to somebody who's in front of you. So, but we do have the internet here, where you can then inflict like similar horrific violence to people who mean nothing to you. They mean, in many cases, less than these video game characters, less to you than these video game characters you're mowing down. The argument could be made that by trivializing things to these points, this is why people can, not bat an eye when they make death threats to somebody, graphic death threats to somebody on the internet.
Yeah, I get that. I want to talk about. I would want to make an entirely different series about this, and the reason why I think people can be the jerks that they are on the internet is not actually due to anything like that. I think it's actually more due to the structure of the internet itself. The way the internet itself functions as a medium, right? Kind of encourages this kind of garbage in, garbage straight out kind of nonsense to fly right from you. So I get it, but I think the internet as a medium kind of almost encourages this kind of anonymity and full-on rage fest that it is. I don't know. As a final point on this, I just want to say, and I keep on bringing this back to murder, but I guess maybe it makes it a little bit clearer. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. So I'm going to put on my hat again. I'm going to be this crazy guy that's defending this now. So I want to ask you two, both of you. So obviously growing up, and I do think we live in a culture of violence, a culture that celebrates violence. So I'm not doubting this at all. Humanity is violent, and we celebrate violence. We love violence. We can't get enough of it. Okay, so I get that. I'm totally with you there. But think of all the deaths and violence and murder and killing you've seen over the years. You've seen so much growing up. I know you have. Anyone has. It's watched TV or played video games. You've seen it all. But yet, there are scenes in movies and games that move you. Still, to this day, right? And you have to ask yourself, well, why is that? And there can only be one answer, is that those scenes, those deaths that move you, like the death, the crazy example, the death of Spock in Star Trek II or something, right? I mean, the reason why, I'm going to do a George Costanza thing here, hell of a thing. Anyway, the reason why that is because you feel that character fleshed out. They feel real to you. So despite having seen, hundreds and hundreds of people mowed down in Rambo and Die Hard and stuff, it still didn't trivialize the death of Spock. And there was a reason for that, because Spock was, he's fleshed out. He's been with us for a while. We know him. I mean, how do you respond to that?
Well, then, okay. We're not trivializing violence against people we care about. But we may be trivializing violence against people we don't care about. I mean, the reason why Spock's removed by the death of Spock is because we've been made to care about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I see. I don't know, if the argument is, simply if you keep on reusing murder and death, that it'll become trivial, it just seems to me that it's because it's used in a trivial way, you're kind of like, meh. But when you actually see it happen to someone that's fleshed out and real, it doesn't seem to work that way, because you see them as a person and not simply as... all I'm trying to say is, I don't know how this trivialization thing's going to end up working, right? I mean, if that's the argument, is that if you keep on reusing something, its impact goes away. I guess the only response to that is, no, it doesn't. The reason why it doesn't have impact is because we don't care about the characters, right? I mean, that's why it has impact. I get it though. I get what she's saying. I get it, but this would be my dumb guy instant response. So I want her to be careful with her words, and when she says trivialize, it's used trivially.
That's interesting. I like that. Yeah.
So but this has, again, we haven't still talked about the second half of the statement. So up until this point, we're talking about, I think she should have said it's used trivially, and then it becomes normalized, right?
Okay.
Okay, so do you want to leave this for the next video?
Yes. So it says, do you think she's using words improperly, or do you think it even mattered? Please let us know down in the comments. And they're right here, just so you know, down below my desk. And we hope to see you next video.
I'm talking to dog feet there. Nice shooting. No kidding. You're a real,
Continue!
Yeah, you see, I use classy words like that because, I'm a totally,
Classy type guy!
Woo! Party! Let's dance!
That's human trash compactors in Solar City, and we're not. You gotta take us all the way, kid.